Tamaklo.
Okay, so I think I want to look at this conversation. It's a very vast one. I want to approach it with a bit of caution, in the sense that usually when a certain notoriety is established, that nationals of a particular country are involved in such organized crime. And if you look at the magnitude of the amounts involved, $100 million, that's huge. It creates a certain agency within government to show that there are no official complicity in those offenses, and that the named individuals involved are doing it at the level, at their individual level. There's also that tendency, particularly for the Americans, to have this view that because of the wealth that these individuals might have garnered, through this enterprise, obviously unlawful, they might have some influence, which influence usually gets them to, as it were, want to, control the system. And so there's always that posturing by government to try to, as it were, show that, look, you know what, government is not involved. And if there's anything by way of cooperation from government, we are willing to cooperate. That usually comes with unintended consequences, because then you need to do a balancing act beyond respect for due process, and also possibly the reputation of the country as well. And I'll tell you a vivid story. If you recall, between 2006, 2007, there was this whole talk about drug in the country. So President Kufuor was under so much pressure. In fact, what actually broke the camel's back was the MV Benjamin saga. So when the MV Benjamin thing came, because apparently the Americans, the Drug Enforcement Agency and co, has shared this intel that they had picked this information that there was a vessel or a ship moving from the South Americans to Ghana, MV Adade. Then subsequently, this intel that was shared got leaked. So the story was that on the high seas, this ship, MV Adade, was repainted into MV Benjamin to conceal its identity. Eventually, the stories associated with MV Benjamin became a matter of notoriety, to the extent that the president at that time, President Kufuor, was forced to set up the Georgina Wood Committee, you recall? With Georgina Wood Committee, among others, at that time, they used to sit at the Ministry of Interior. So I used to attend the committee, proceedings in that time, 2006 to 2007, thereabout.
Right.
Eventually, what happened was that the committee recommended the prosecution of some individuals and even some law enforcement officers. And for obvious reasons, I do not want to mention their name.
And this is to do with extradition.
No, please.
Oh, I'm just saying sometimes you to direct him a bit, because we have references. Abu Trica. Why is...
Hold on.
Look how
you asked the...
President Kufuor.
You asked the question. I have asked the question.
You didn't ask that question.
Hold on. Yes.
So the point I am making is that at that time, even the hurried manner in which some individuals were prosecuted raised serious eyebrows. And I remember the prosecution of Tagore, among others in that matter, which eventually got overturned by the Court of Appeal, became a topical issue. Because at that time, the story was that the government was under pressure by the Americans to demonstrate that there was no official complicity. The reason why I'm drawing this analogy is that, you see, when some of these things happen, I don't sit at a certain level in terms of governance.
Absolutely.
I play per my pay grade.
True.
There are some meetings I may not be privy to. But the point I am making is that when you have these kind of scenarios, a lot of things go into it.
You are the president's lawyer.
I'm coming.
Okay.
When I was coming, the president has to.
Yeah, I know.
No, he is my man.
Go to the matter.
I am. The president has an attorney general. No. Who? I'm not qualified.
We just want to be educated on the matter.
Yeah, we are going. I'm going there. I see why.
Mati,
you are intimidating me. You are intimidating me this morning. So the point I'm making is that, you see, so a lot goes into these questions of extradition. One, you want to look at the image of the government. The government wants to show that they are proactive on these matters. But the challenge is that our constitution is governed by the dictates of due process and the rule of law. And so, in seeking to do this for government, I also believe that due process ought to be respected. And it must be done so aggressively. I am a lawyer. I am putting myself in a situation where I am counsel for Abu Trica. And this had happened. What would be my legitimate response to this?
Absolutely.
Look, and particularly coming from America, it is a country that evangelizes due process, due process and the rule of law, particularly respect for human rights. Whilst coming here, I had to reference a case of extradition in the United States Supreme Court, a decision that was delivered 9 December 2025, just last year. It has to do with this famous medical doctor, gynecologist, Dr. Kanayama. It's a very famous case. Kanayama has developed himself one of the foremost experts in gynecology and others, but he's of a Japanese origin, but had permanent residence in the United States of America. Somewhere in 2015, he went to Japan, his home country. And subsequently, the story was that he had, the Japanese are there's this fetish about them, about their shrines. So he had visited 2 of the shrines and purportedly misconducted himself with criminal consequences. So the Japanese, as early as 2016, requested for his extradition from the Americans, that the Americans should help extradite him to Japan to face trial. And usually for the America, the principle is that there must be duality of crime, in the sense that what you are seeking to, as it were, try the person for must be a crime in the U.S. And obviously, I think that test will be passed in Ghana, in the sense that romance, fraud, defrauding by false pretense is an offense there, and is also passed. So that duality test would have been deemed a condition met. But in the specific case of the Japanese one, yes, the Americans felt that the duality idea was also legitimately met. And they were willing to extradite him to Japan. Look, as early as December 2017, Kanayama has fought this extradition for almost 10 years. From 2017 to 2025, before finally the U.S. Supreme Court allowed that even though he has a permanent residence, that's green card, he's extraditable. And he was eventually extradited to Japan to go and face trial. The reason why I make reference to this Kanayama decision is the fact that even in America, due process is respected.
Absolutely.
And so I have this view at the personal level that to the extent that the basic court granted the order for extradition, however, there was a pending bail application also granted duly by a high court, which bail conditions had been fulfilled. If there was a legitimate notice of appeal against the orders of the Gbese High Court, followed with an application for stay. Pending that hearing, I think with respect, that ought to have been respected. Before the extradition. And my thinking is that, you see, we also need to show the Americans that we respect the due process requirement just as they do.
Thank you.
Because as we speak today, there's a reason why Ken Ofori-Atta, for instance, is not in Ghana. Why? Government of Ghana wants him here to come and account for his stewardship. But the Americans believe that there's a requirement of due process. They have even gone further to even give him a green card, permanent resident, notwithstanding the pendency of this extradition.
In a different application.
In a different, So my point is that maybe in terms of doing the balancing act, the need to do the extradition and the processes that were legitimately going on in our courts, we could have done a balancing act to say, maybe let's await the outcome of that appellate review. So that if that appellate review, it can be expedited. In this country,
You don't even need to expedite. Why?
No, hold on.
That's for slavery.
It's okay,
It's not
so-
paid for slavery.
I'm coming.
$97 trillion.
Yes.
It's not paid. Why are we in a rush to send
you know,
people
President
there?
Mahama is a champion of
Exactly.
this.
And they are not minding him. And he's minding them.
No, they are minding him. They are minding him.
America didn't support the listen. they
No,
didn't
America
support-
has its own view.
Exactly. But that's America that we took.
No,
Thank
so,
you.
97 trillion. They owe us.
Thank
So
you.
the point I am making is that we could have done a balancing act with a different outcome, which outcome would actually imply just allowing the basic court and the appellate review to have happened, so that regardless of what the outcome will be, but where in this case it does appear that the process has been truncated by this one looks more like a rendition.
Exactly. It's a rendition.
In the sense that it is a removal to come and face trial. As we speak, there's a member of parliament duly elected by his people.
Asante Achim.
Asante Achim.
He succeeded on the Apia Kubi.
No, he
defeated.
Take me out of this.
He defeated on the Apia Kubi.
Yes.
Take me out of this.
No,
No,
but
we
I
are
think
just
that's
using it as a point of reference. Even in church.
His point of reference are very cheap.
But I think it's just a matter of fact.
But I'm sure today, if you offer that seat to Honorable, you feel that the pressure of him has come down significantly. And he's looking, like you are saying, very young. The pressure alone can even put gray on you. But the bottom line, and I want to make this argument, is that I am not aware of any quid pro quo arrangements with the government of the United States of America by way of loans or any other thing. I want to strongly believe that this is a position by government to basically show that there are no official
Martin will have to show
complicity
us how
in some of these organized crime. It is also, I strongly believe, government's way of sending a message of its that there is zero tolerance for some of these offenses. That there is no way government of Ghana is going to shield any person who is found to have engaged in such conduct or misdeed. What is important and very good is that at least where Abu Trica is going, the United States of America, is a country where there is great respect for due process and human rights, particularly anchored on fair trial. And I want to believe that in America, he will get all the reasonable facilities required for him to prepare his defense.
True.
The American courts are such that they take issues on human rights strongly. Look, there is this Diego Garcia or something guy in America that President Trump has done everything humanly possible, executive possible, to have him extradited or removed because he's an illegal immigrant or something. The American courts have, without hesitation, said no. And as we speak, I think he's still in America, notwithstanding the fact that the almighty Donald Trump wants him immediately removed from the U.S. So I want to assure Abu Trica that where he had been moved to, it's not a place you call Banana Republic. His rights, if it's legitimately established that he committed no such offense, I have no doubt at all in my mind that the American courts will vindicate him at the end of the day. That notwithstanding, I believe that maybe going forward, the rules on the extradition ought to be properly spelled out. Thankfully, we have a legislation in Ghana that governs some of these undertakings so that going forward, some of this, and I always say that, you see, we are building a democracy. I was listening to Senior Pebu.
Yes.
And Pebu talked about the Dombo Interior Minister.
Yeah.
If you recall, even March, by 1957, you know Krobo Edudzi.
Yes, he to the same.
Balogun and the rest. Edudzi.
Yes.
And I recall vividly, you know, in those times, the courts will stop the deportation.
Yeah.
And immediately what Krobo Edudzi would do is that he will go to Parliament and get Parliament to pass the usual ad hominem. Yes, and usually pass the ad hominem legislations.
Yes.
So while the matter is in court, he will go to Parliament, and Parliament will pass a specific law, Amadou Balogun Act.